Hi, I'm Margaret, and I lead content at Airtable. Today, I'm going to talk about a very common problem for content leaders like myself and how I've solved that in Airtable with our email digest. So, I have worked on many different content teams with many different leaders, and a problem that I always encounter is that I need to keep my leadership really up to date on the content that is coming. And the best way to do this, in my experience, is to be very proactive about sharing what's actually coming every week. So, the way that we do this in Airtable is that we use our email digest tool. So, I'm going to show you in this content calendar template, which is available in our template library, how you would set something like that up. For those of you who are super experienced in automations, some of this might be a review for you. But if you're like me, automations are a little bit intimidating. Hopefully, this can help you figure it out. So, over here in any Airtable base, you have the option to click into all different types of automations. And you can just make an automation. You can set up all of the parameters yourself, but we actually have some cool recipes to get you started. And Weekly Digest is one of those recipes. It is one of my favorites. So let's dig in. So in this case, I want to every week, this is probably familiar to you, I want to send my leadership a roll up of what they can expect to actually go live this week. And I want it to just be linked to my calendar. In previous jobs, what I've done is copy and pasted this into a spreadsheet or copy and pasted all this information into an email. It gets very tedious very quickly and unfortunately very error prone. So this is how I'm going to know that the information I send is absolutely correct. So I'm going to call this my leadership digest. You can call your automations anything you want. And in this case, because as I said, I want this to be weekly, I'm going to trigger this off of a scheduled time. I want my leadership to get this at the same time every single week. But I could say that I want to trigger this off of something happening in the base, for example. So in this case, we're going to go scheduled time. And I'm going to say, I could choose different intervals, but I want this to happen, as I said, once a week, every 1 week. And I actually want to have this sent on Tuesdays because Monday, I'm not totally sure about what's happening in the week yet. It's too soon. And I want this to land, right when everyone's like had their coffee and they're really excited for the day. I want this to be like the first amazing thing that hits their inbox. I'm going to call this 9:30. And I want this to start right away. Okay, so I have that set up. I'm going to quickly run a test to make sure that my parameters make sense. Ran successfully. Amazing. Okay, so I'm done with my trigger. So now I need to set up an action. So what is going to actually happen at 9:30 every Tuesday? And that I want, as I said, everything in this base. So right now it's the 22nd. So I want everything that's going to come this week to show up in the email notification that I send. So I'm going to say find records. I'm going to say, I could pick any of these tables up here, but I'm going to choose this content pipeline, what we're looking at right now. And I want it to collect any record that fits a certain condition. So I could also use a view if that's how I have things set up. But in this case, I'm going to use a condition. And I'm actually going to make this a little bigger so we can see what I'm doing. So first, I'm going to choose conditions for the records that Airtable includes in my digest. And I'm going to choose conditions based on due date here. That's how Airtable will know what is publishing. And then I'm going to say is within the next week. Boom, super easy. So now it's going to collect any record that's going to publish in the next week. And in my case, I might also want to say, don't pull in things that are on hold because those things might not actually go live. So I'm going to say status is not, in this case, on hold. So it's going to pull in anything that's going to happen this next week that's not on hold. Okay, great. And let me test that out. Amazing. It's really nice to get that green checkbox. So that ran successfully. So that's done. And now what's actually going to happen? So they're going to pull in these records, right? Now it's going to send an email. who do I want to send it to? So I'm going to send it to marketing leadership. This is not a real email address at airtable.com. And then you can see here, the subject line is actually pulling in from the records itself. So this would say something like 3 records happening in the next week. In this case, I'm going to just totally customize my subject line. I don't actually need this to show up. You can see how it could be useful, but in this case, I just wanted to say weekly content update. Great. So that's my subject line. And then the message, because I asked it, will be these records pulling in. And it's going to render as an HTML list, which just means you'll see every asset. And I want to have a little message. Hello, leadership team. Excited to share our upcoming content for this week. Reach out to Margaret by hitting reply if you have comments or questions. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to actually make this reply to me. And then it's going to pull in my records, give them that nice list, just for a personal touch, sign off. Okay, great. I could add an attachment if I want. And now in these options, I really like to use these because I could say, you know, I also want to BC the content team so they know this has been sent out. And I could say, okay, I want to customize the front name. I'm going to have this say from Airtable content bot. Be creative here. And then under reply to, I want anyone who replies to this to actually get me with their questions, but I could change this, of course. And now that all looks good. So I'm going to test out these steps. Testing, testing. Successful. Amazing. And then let's finally, before we turn this on, which is the most important step, let's preview our email. Okay. That's the right email address. That's the right CC. Reply to me. It's going to come from Airtable content bot with this weekly content update. I've got my note, and now it's pulling in all the content from my calendar and giving them all this information that they want. Perfect. And now, as my final step, I'm going to hit done. So this is all ready to go. And then I'll hit on. So I have an automation just like this using our email digest feature that I send to our leadership every week. A cool, fun, other best practice might be to duplicate your automation and have that sent an hour beforehand so you can take a look and really feel confident in the content before it all goes out. And that is how to create an email digest notification in Airtable.